Yep.
Good morning. Let's call this Board of Public Service, Board of Public Works and Safety meeting to order. It is December 8th at 9 a.m. Let the record reflect that all board members are present except for Jim, Nicole, and Bob. First item of whole business is to approve the minutes from the 24th meeting. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have the union contract from the Terre Haute Police Department, number 133.
Yes, so, you should have a memo before you that outlines the substantive changes to the union contract. I would just note for the record that 3-year proposal for the sworn officers was a 18% pay increase for 2026, and then a 0% pay increase for both 2027 and 2028. The reality of bringing in newly sworn merit police officers, I'm sure you've seen some of the local news stations reporting on the aggressive salaries that the Indiana State Police and other law enforcement agencies from around Indianapolis have been pursuing to bring in qualified applicants. That issue was not peculiar to those counties. We were seeing the same thing here, just maybe on a slightly smaller scale. We had lost, half dozen officers to other agencies simply with signing bonuses and increased annual salaries. While at the same time, we had been the agency that had sent that individual to the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy and made them a qualified, employee for those other agencies. So the 18% 1-year increase was deemed advisable to bring those salaries up to a point where they are arguably competitive with when you compare cost of living in this community to those others. So the union recognized that, they pushed for it, and they, believe that the other 2 years being a 0% increase were justified in that, that the city wanted to execute an agreement it could live up to. And so that's what was necessary from them to get that, so.
And they've already voted on this.
Yes.
So the biggest thing is the 18%, and I assume.
Yeah, no, I mean, there are several other modifications, and I would say that they are, quality of life. We added in the screening that we perform for firefighters because of the nature of their work. They're arguably more susceptible to certain environmental issues, and so we provide annual testing through a third-party provider. We made that available to the police department as well. We put in some language with regards to arbitration, just to clarify, something that was a little bit gray in the contract. And then we put in some language that kind of governs the bargaining that takes place, that, going through these with each union this year, it's only nailed down to me the importance of, clearly defining where you're at the end of every meeting. A lot of conversations have taken place over the course of this year that, maybe one side felt one way walking out and the other side felt a different way walking out. And we put some language in to make the parties define where they're at the end of each session, which will only help the city and the unions.
So I know we're not the entity regarding the budget, but just curious, with an 18% increase, has that been reflected in the taxes?
Yes, the salary ordinance that was approved by the city council, included this wage increase.
So that 18 has been in there discussed for a while?
Yes. No, I mean, we were really feeling the pressures of those bigger counties looking at our employees as a solution to their problem. They needed, they were having, I think, trouble finding new qualified applicants. So the stopgap was, well, let's go out and find people who are already trained, already established. And so, Brandon recognized that a drastic increase, while, as you'll hear about when we go down to the police civilian contract, it was necessary for the sworn officers because that's who's being targeted.
They're being pushed.
Yes.
Well, I assume that they are pleased with this outcome.
Brandon was very pleased.
Good.
I mean, the reality of the situation is, he wants to provide living wages for those public safety employees who are meant to keep us safe. And, that wage increase was necessary to ensure that we're getting qualified applicants. And that the people who are already on the job are recognized for the service that they've already done.
I like the proactive approach to this, and hopefully it'll slow down those closures. Okay, any questions from the public? From the board?
I think they should have gotten more vacation than what. But, I mean, it just seems like, I know this is me though, it just seems like,
And
5 days after, it doesn't seem like a lot of vacation days, but I mean,
I would say that it's not the only class of paid time off that police officers receive. So, there's and I've got I don't have one for everybody, but there's a copy of the entire contract. And it's double-sided.
oh, yeah, so, and they're okay with it, all right.
But the,
I might we have a motion on.
yeah, no, I'm shutting up.
All right.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All right, motion carries. Thank you, Mike. Any other old business to come before the board? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. First, we have payroll.
Who took it?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have claims.
Who took it?
Motion and a second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. The motion carries. Mike, go ahead.
Yep.
To the Terre Haute Police Department support staff.
Yes, so, you should have before you another memo describing the modifications that were made in the police department support staff, union contract. They, bargain with the merit members, so the same union representation, represents both entities. And the one thing I would note for the board was, the support staff does have parity provision with the merit members. But we asked through negotiation, basically, we did not remove it from their contract, but it was not honored in this contract due to the reasons that I outlined during the merit member union contract discussion. I mean, the fact of the matter, we were not experiencing the same degree of loss of employees with our support staff as we were with the sworn law enforcement officers, merit members of Local 133. And in explaining that, we explained why the justification of an 18% 1 year increase, in administration's opinion did not exist. It did call for percentage increases outside some of the other numbers that you've seen, but in total, it's equal to the same percentage that, the non-public safety unions primarily receive, with the exception of the street department.
Are there supervisory levels that are not part of the contract then?
Yeah.
So even the supervisors are,
Yes. I mean, they're supervisors, the civilian staff supervisors are merit employees. So every one of those individuals answers to a sworn member of the police department. And the reason why there was differentiation even amongst the classification of employees was because of a position that was created in 2025 that new starting salary was well outside of what had previously been established for the civilian support staff of the police department.
was that the social worker?
No, that would have been the litigation coordinator. The social workers are new additions to the union contract. They are, tremendous new assets for the city in terms of dealing with the mental health population that we have in this community. And I think they, primarily grant funded. Their salaries are primarily grant funded or funded through opioid settlement dollars. And, we recognize that in the agreement that if the funding sources for those positions are impacted, we've got the ability to assess the positions in there. So I think that we protected the administration and the civilian support staff have approved the contract deal.
And they've already voted on this as well.
That's correct.
Just for clarification from me personally.
Yes.
The sick time payout, is that short-term disability?
No, it's more, like an incentive for not using sick time.
All right, do we have any questions regarding the Terre Haute Police Department support staff contract from the public? From the board? All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the Terre Haute Police Department support staff contract. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
And it's my understanding that we're going to table the street department and not vote on it.
That is correct, yes. We asked that be put on there and in follow-up, learn that it has not been voted yet. We've got, even for today, to follow up on that, but, we would just ask that we table that for the time being.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table the union contract with the Terre Haute Street Department. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Next, Brad, the inspection agreement for New Margaret Drive, Rockwood Lane, Hampton and Roundabout. Let's see it, 40 and 46 for retail drive.
Yeah, both of these projects have been bid and awarded to the Department of Redevelopment. Dragon Drive is the contractor for Margaret Drive and constructing for the retail drive entrance. This is for the inspection of both projects on one agreement. The standard agreement we use with redevelopment all the time, total price of $400,000. So that answers your questions.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions from the public? From the board? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. And Brad, we have another inspection agreement, Industrial Margaret Avenue Water Main Improvement.
Yep, same agreement, different project. This project also has been bid and awarded to the Department of Redevelopment. Let's see, this went to the Shield Construction. We're charging 10% of the construction cost for this one, so the total is $50,900. Yeah, $928.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions from the public? From the board? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Any other new business to come before the board? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor? Thank you, everyone. 9:18. That was pretty darn good.